I will, oh, I don't have my gavel.
Oh,
That's all right, that's okay. I'll just knock. How about
knock on the table.
So I will now call to order the workshop meeting for November 28th, 2023. I want to welcome everyone again. Thank you for being here. I know we have a couple of folks here from the community, so I will just read our little prompt here. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend today's school board workshop. This workshop is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly among ourselves and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. There will be an opportunity for the public to ask questions at the end of the workshop presentation. Questions will be allowed, public comment will not be allowed. If you wish to ask a question, please fill out a comment card and hand that card to a deputy. Your participation is welcome and appreciated. And the first item on our agenda is to review the draft agenda for the December 7th board
So,
meeting.
Madam Chair, before we start, we can all please rise.
Yes.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, if I could mix up the order of the agenda today, and we have a presentation here from the law firm of Terrell Hogan here. Mr. Blocker, would you like to introduce?
Yes, absolutely. So I appreciate y'all today. Give us an opportunity to hear from Mr. Wayne Hogan. So these gentlemen are going to give a presentation to y'all during the workshop about some upcoming litigation involving school districts and social media, and see if there's some interest on Clay County joining those efforts. So I'll let Mr. Hogan, if you can introduce your team. And
thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Wayne Hogan. I practice in Jacksonville, Florida, the Terrell Hogan Law Firm. This is my partner, Alan Pickard, who will be part of our presentation based on my previous experience. And be glad to go through it now if that's where we are in the agenda.
Yes, sir.
I'll step over here if that works well for you. Just work for everyone. I appreciate your having us here, the opportunity to speak with you about these matters. The superintendent and I first met and when I was at a meeting of NEFAC, which is the Northeast Florida Education Consortium. Even though Clay is not a member of it, you work together in a sense. And we were there talking about the opioid epidemic and its impact on school districts as a result of children being born addicted to opioids, and there is an increase in the need for special education. And so that litigation has been going on for some time. Putnam County School District was the initial one in that. We also represented Miami-Dade, but Putnam we filed for Putnam as a class action representative, meaning representing all of the school districts would receive the benefit of that if we're successful. So we have history in dealing with this kind of thing and representing school districts, and we've made progress there. There is a grant writing trust that's been created in several of the bankruptcies. You may have heard of the Purdue company, Purdue Pharma and its opioids, and the Sackler family that owned that. That's presently pending in the United States Supreme Court. And so that gives some, as a result of the bankruptcy plan, if it is ever approved, and we think that it will be in some form, that and one other bankruptcy and another company called McKinsey that was their advisor that thought up the idea of excessively promoting the opioid crisis. And the end result of that is that there's about a $50 million funding for this grant writing trust. I say all that to say that we have experience in representing school districts across the country in these complex litigation situations. To me, it's personal in a sense, and although I grew up in St. Augustine, I went to St. John's River Junior College, which is supported not only by St. Johns County, but by Clay as well in Putnam, where the campus was when I was there. And some of you may have known Larry Lancaster and Dale Wilson. We were in student government together. They're from here, and we were down at St. John's. So it matters to us if we have the opportunity to help the school districts in this part of North Florida. Back when I was in school, there wasn't anything like these devices that everybody has, but that are programmed in a sense in terms of when people connect to the internet to dominate the lives of children that are coming up, 11, 12, 13 teenagers, and the end result, as you see in the materials, and it's the statistics are undebatable. The increase in the rates of depression, anxiety, it's in that who has weighed in on this, just down at line 4 and 6, but this is not news, I don't think, to anybody that's involved in the work that you're doing. The increase in depression, anxiety, depression, eating disorders, low self-esteem, even suicides. And the end result of that is that school districts all across the country are having to bear the additional expense for counseling, mental health counseling, other types of assistance, and the security concerns that are involved when students are in one way or another out of control or unable to control their own actions. These companies, which includes Meta, that's Facebook before, and Instagram, but also TikTok and the others, know this. The testimony has now been made in Congress. It is understood by both sides of the aisle in Congress that this is something that has to be dealt with. We intend to, and are representing school districts presently. We'll be representing Duval, we'll be representing Putnam, we'll be Lake County School District. We'll be talking soon with St. John's, who we represent in opioids. And so this is something that we do on a contingent basis, which means that the law firms that are involved in our team, it's not just Alan and me, we have a team that we put together because this is national litigation. Presently there's what's called a multi-district litigation court in the Northern District of California, where parents previously have been brought these lawsuits against these defendants. It has already been briefed and argued to the judge in the Northern District there. She has made various rulings as to what parts of the complaints are going to be allowed to go forward from her standpoint and what parts are not. We presently have filed suit for the Baltimore schools, and we'll be filing these lawsuits in other parts of the country, Ohio and New Mexico, and here in Florida, and hopefully on your behalf. The way that works is that when the judge has made that ruling, in those cases, she has not had the opportunity to rule on the cases being brought by the school districts. And once we are able to file enough of these cases to get before her with the complaints, we'll be asking the court to allow us to go forward with the proof of damages. And this is one of the most important things that I can tell you about this litigation, and that is our goal, apart from making this industry own up to its responsibilities, is to do so, but without imposing great cost and expense to the staff and the school district and the ratepayers that you represent, speaking here to the members of the board. We managed to be successful in handling the opioid work that we did without causing great staff time to be expended. There's a basic fact sheet in these multi-district litigation situations that is fairly straightforward. It deals with statistics that you already keep, budgeting materials and the like, and we would be able, we think, to be able to demonstrate the increase in cost that you've experienced over a period of years for counseling and all that goes with that in terms of your budget. So we think that we can do this, and we have as a major goal handling this effectively for you, but without it being a burden for you. The law firms will handle the costs of this in terms of fronting the costs. We would be paid on a contingent basis. We appreciate having the opportunity to work with Mr. Blocker's firm in this, and think that it can be done, one, without costing you expenditure of money, two, without excessive kinds of burdens to your staff, and three, in the end, if this results in a settlement, as these cases often do, then we would be able to provide some level of compensation we would expect to the school district if we're successful. There's no guarantees in what it is that we do, and one of the reasons I say this is that, particularly with regard to this subject of social media, the Congress, a good while back now, adopted the Communications Act Amendment, and that amendment gave a level of protection to companies like Meta and Facebook and the others, viewing them as publishers, like a newspaper, the New York Times or the Clay Today, and in terms of what they might publish. If it's about a public official, they have certain kinds of protections. And this, it's called Section 230. You may be the only time you need to hear about it. But it operates to provide some level of protection from liability for those companies. And Judge Gonzalez-Rogers in the Northern District of California recognized that statute. She held that it does protect them in certain ways, but not in other ways. And so our whole plan is to put forward a set of allegations that avoid the impact of that statute and allows us to hold them accountable. So to summarize, it is a terrible problem. You are yourselves experiencing the costs caused by that problem. It can be handled in a way that will not be burdensome to you, but that, and will not be costly to you to begin, and has the potential to do two things. One, change how these companies do what they do, require them to build in better protections for the children that are the victims of this, change the algorithms, we hope, in terms of how they, somebody used the example, suppose a student was, and you will have seen it, is asked to write a report about footwear during the revolutionary times, and so they write a report, but it's on, and they do research, and then the next day they start seeing shoe ads. You've all experienced it. If you shopped online, the next thing you know, the algorithm knows somehow how to reach you, and you see it. So we want to be able to impact effectively how it is that they do business and change that. But we also want to be able to provide compensation for the school districts so that that amount of money would be of some assistance to you. This has happened in some settings in litigation about vaping. It is happening, and we're a part of that in the litigation related to opioids. And we do expect that in the end, it is likely that this is the kind of thing that would result in a settlement. One additional thing to say, and that is that what we don't expect is that if we were to represent the Clay County School Board, we don't expect that you would be what they call a bellwether jurisdiction, meaning a bellwether trial. If you were, then that would be expensive in terms of the staff time and other kinds of responses that you would have to do. Years ago, in the 90s, for Governor Childs, some of the lawyers, including our firm, me and Alan, we represented the governor and the healthcare administration against the cigarette industry. We were successful in that litigation, and it still brings in, and has brought in for a long time, on average $400 million a year to the state budget. But it also meant that a tremendous amount of resources were applied by the state because they had to divulge all their documents and that sort of thing. That's not something that you are at risk for doing. If there's going to be a bellwether trial somewhere, it's going to be in Baltimore, or it might be possibly if Jacksonville is large enough to do that, or it might be Chicago or some other school district that is large. Very unlikely that it would be any smaller geographical district. That's important for you to know, because we don't want to get you into something that's going to be burdensome to you. We want to help you financially and also do something about this. I'd be glad to answer any questions that any of you may have about this, but Mr. Blocker, I think, he's knowledgeable about the concept of the contingency fee and the way that it works, and the way that it operates beneficially for you, but without cost to you.
Are there any questions from board members?
I mean, and did you want to announce Aaron's on with that?
Oh, yes, I should have said that at the start of our
Oh,
meeting.
thank you.
Ms. Skipper is joining us remotely this morning. Erin, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, did you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think it's a wonderful idea, wonderful help, the way it's set up. I just cringe at the thought of having to deal with more mental health. You know, we're already so burdened with that, and I'd like to see it go the other way. I mean, with the cell phones, personally, I think they ought to be like driver's license and not until you're 16 or 18. But we don't live in that world yet. But no, I think what you brought sounds like a very sound plan.
I appreciate
It's
that.
helpful.
Ms. Bullard?
I was just thinking that we have truly benefited from the tobacco settlement, so thank you. And we're still battling that in so many ways in our school. And from this perspective, however, it is truly something that we are facing. I mean, as you said, it would be globally with a mental health issue. It would be something that would not be developing, but I think we saw that even more with the pandemic. That students we had to put students on electronics
Right.
to begin with, but a lot of parents use electronics as a babysitter. And we all know, I mean, in reviewing books, I know exactly what sort of ads I got after I reviewed books.
Oh,
And I
yes.
thought, oh my. So I understand the concept of this, I understand the severity of this problem as well. So I don't have any questions at this stage. And I'm sure Mr. Blocker would be able to answer for us in the future.
All right, thank you very much.
My experience in making these presentations, both in Duval and Putnam and Lake, is that school board members, because we're you're in the community, you see these things, you interact with students or, students in your families, can make this presentation about the harm better than I can, because you see it, you live it, and we want to do something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my only question is, Proctor, is, obviously the board has to have discussion and whatnot, but the process from here, I think that we would all agree, just as an administrator in many different schools, I've seen the effects of social media. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a big fan of it because of the detrimental effect that it has on young people. So I guess, where do we go from here to move forward?
Sure, so this could be, if there's a board wish to move forward, it would be, I think we can handle it through a consent agenda at that point. So really just we're all clear on what the parameters are. So this would be this law firm who has a great track record, and the back of litigation is a great example. When you look at it, just kind of going off the slides here, you have anxiety, depression, eating disorder, low self-esteem, suicidal ideation, suicide, 1 in 5 children between the ages of 13 to 17. So this is the framework of where you're dealing with, really our students today. And just to put a personal touch on it, my daughter over the weekend was upset with me because she wants a cell phone because her friends at school have access to cell phones, can get on Facebook and TikTok. And I'm thinking, she's 7 years old and already there's this urge to get engaged with that. So these are companies that, when you look at the defendants here, Meta, owner of Facebook and Instagram, BitDance, owner of TikTok, Snap, owner of Snapchat, Google, owner of YouTube, all of these have benefited from these algorithms which have driven children into some of the issues that we have here. And then y'all as a board and staff are stuck with, and our teachers, with limited revenue coming into the school districts, are dealt with trying to mitigate the effects of this and take care of children. So really what the school district's decision here would be is to, really through a consent agenda, would be to move forward with this law firm. And again, nothing's going to happen for some time. This would just add us as a plaintiff to this lawsuit. Obviously, there's a lot of legal work that would go into it that would not be shouldered by the school district. So this law firm would absorb that, and their partner law firms, so they would take on that. If there's work that needs to be done, they would reach out to me. But the idea is the firm takes on that, and just to clarify what Mr. Hogan said, again, we're not going to be a bellwether plaintiff in this. Our school district is not large enough, but we would be, if there's eventually a settlement or a judgment, we would be in a position for, if those funds go into a trust fund, for us to access those funds for mental health services and other special education needs to address that. So that's really the effort right now. So really just if there's willingness on the part of the board to move forward on a consent agenda. So I know that's a long, lawyerly explanation, but did that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that correct, Mr.
Yes,
Irving? Did I say that you
it is, and by whatever, we want everything to be done. You have rules and regulations that apply to what the board approves, and so by whatever appropriate a way to do that. And it matters if we move sooner than later. There's power in numbers to add the different school districts so that the judge is able to see that these are districts from all over the country and that they are unified in saying we're experiencing this problem. So from a timing standpoint, if you have an upcoming board meeting, that would.
Absolutely. So I believe we can handle it on a consent agenda. So if it's the board's wishes to wait in December.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you have consensus from the board,
Right
so
here.
we can just
Yes.
add it to December's agenda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's great to meet all.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Hogan, there's a lack of licensed mental health professionals
Yes.
out there to do the work. Is it potential that the compensation given can increase the salary of those individuals to attract more people to that profession?
Well, that would, and part of the idea would be, to the extent there's compensation that comes toward, to the board, that would be one of the things that the board would be able to make those decisions about. It could be, In the opioid settlement that has been made, there is a set of ways in which monies that are coming in are to be spent. And some of that is related to training, some of that is related to increased expenditures for a variety of ways to try to reduce that separate epidemic that is also impacting the school district. On that topic, it's not necessary, I don't believe, because we're presently in the litigation, and whatever will happen, there will be the grant writing trust fund will be available to all school districts. But it is the case that if the board were to decide that it wants to take action on that, it won't cost you anything, but you get the benefit of it, and it helps us say that there's an additional school district on that topic as well. But Mr. Blocker and I can talk about that and see if that's something you'd like to do. When we were last week speaking with the Duval County School Board in their workshop, it came up that they were interested in the opioid litigation because of special education expenses, as well as the other. And so this might be something that you'd like to talk about as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So before we begin the other topic, is that something that we want to discuss now, along with opioid?
Absolutely. If that's something the board is wishful, we can move forward with, and that could be as well a consent agenda item. Again, I want to manage everyone's expectations. This is just like with opioid. You know, this is a long process. It's very possible that this will continue years into the future. But what I don't want to see is I don't want to see Clay County and its students and its staff missing out on an opportunity if there is revenue to come from this. So I think it would be prudent if the board is interested in exploring all those options, giving consent to explore that. Then at some point, if there's a settlement agreement, we'll have to come back to the board for approval. But you know, this is really just more exploring and adding us as a plaintiff at this time.
I'm comfortable moving forward with both.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, awesome.
Do we need to ask Ms. Cooper as well?
Ms. Skipper, are you comfortable moving forward and joining the litigation process for social media as well as opioids?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So now we're up to the review of the agenda. Let me just start by saying, you know, I love December and January are 2 months that really the agenda in the natural ebb and flow of the school year wind up being more celebratory along the way. Many celebrations are going to occur this particular month, and you can see a listing of all of those. If you recall, we went ahead and we flipped the agenda to put the discussion items first, which is why you see the discussion items there. There's 3 different discussion items that are related to policy and public agendas. You know, public agenda for approval of the policy. The very first one is kind of an odd situation. This is a resolution for the board to agree to. There's a fountain back behind this building that was for a memorial for Maddie Law. The fountain has come into disrepair, and the family would like to have that, and the district is in agreement that they should have this, but in order to make that happen, it requires the board to make this a surplus item so that we can simply give that item to the family. It seems like a no-brainer, and what tends to happen is as years go by, the number of people that would know an individual diminishes over time, and so it's appropriate for the family to have this item. So that's the very first one. The second is the public hearing on school board policy related to information services. Remember, one of the things that we did, we were revamping our board policies. The very first group to go is information services, because information services has statutory requirements from the last legislative session, which is why Board Policy 7.0 is going first. It seems like, one should go first, then two, but that's not the way it really works. So this is an update to all of those. We've already noticed it to the public. This is now the public hearing for that. Next, there's some human resource items updated along the way. And then that takes you back to the public hearing for tobacco. Remember, we approved this, it was advertised already, and so now this is the public hearing for those updates for that. Is there, 4.15. And then after that is the last public hearing, which has to do with the sales tax committee and changing the way we develop a quorum in order to take action there relative to that committee. And that completes the discussion agenda. So moving forward in the consent agenda, you have the minutes there. You have the proposed student calendar for 25-26. We're already
Were there any changes?
couple years ahead
Good job.
related to that. Then you have the personnel consent agenda. Within the personnel consent agenda, there's some job description revisions that are in there, as well as a new position for a teacher, a corrections teacher, to provide services to the Clay County Jail. So that's a new job description called an adult education corrections teacher. You'll see that buried within there.
Is that predominantly for GED?
Yes.
Awesome.
Then you have the academic services overnight travel. Then you have the agreement with Valdosta State University for participants in clinical occupation experiences within our district. Again, we want opportunities for as many colleges to come to Clay County with students, because then that's more people to, and we, by the way, we do send people out to visit and encourage those individuals while they're doing their student teaching to come work at Clay. Next is an addition to the Master in Service plan, the Professional Learning Catalog, and this has to do with CTE, and it's an add-on to the already existing document in order to be in compliance. Next is proposed allocation changes for 23-24. You can see very little changes. One addition was an additional custodian at Keystone Heights Elementary, as we added more building space out there. We also need to add more people to take care of that building space, and so that's what that is about. Next is the monthly financial reports, followed by the budget amendment reports, the deletion of certain item report, again, very routine items. Next is the memorandum of understanding with the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicle Data Exchange. This is basically the agreement that allows us to look up the driver's license of individuals that drive either buses or district-owned vehicles. One of the things that we do is we routinely follow their driving records to ensure that nobody with an unsatisfactory driving record drives a district vehicle. So this is the agreement that allows us to do that. We've done that for forever. There's a driver safety plan, where if you get so many points, there's a system by which we would then not allow you to drive a district-owned vehicle. Next is proportionate share mitigation between Clay County and Bowden and LJB land. This is a mitigation agreement for a sum of $2.18 million for land off of Russell Road. Essentially, we want to build there, and in order, we're 64 seats short, I believe, and so the cost of that is $2.18 million in proportionate share mitigation. That's followed by the change order for Orange Park Junior High School, their rooftop units on buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4. pre-qualification of contractors. And then the change order for Bannerman Learning Center security lighting. That is just an extension of time. It's not an extension of equipment, so there's no other backup documentation for that. Next is substantial final completion. We're required to, under the statute, to bring forward to the board when the project's finally done. That project is finally done. It's beautiful. It's out there. Good for Park High School.
Well done. That
And
was
last
1 year
is-
ago that we started that, right?
Yeah.
Was it just a year? Because it was before the school, like October of...
Yeah, we waited till the end of the football
Right.
season, so it's been about a year and a half for final. We
Got
had
it.
some things hanging
So-
up, but we were ready for graduation for the stadium
You
part
were,
last
that's
year.
right.
That's what was important.
Sort of like, whoa, this is...
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
And
Well
then the next is a change order for Fleming Island erosion control and baseball facility out there. And last is the change order for Keystone Heights Elementary School cafeteria and classrooms. And some of the upgrades there that will, we have the ribbon cutting December 5th on that one. And that completes the agenda. That was kind of like one of the easiest ever. That's why I love December and January. Usually those 2 months are the 2 months that are kind of right through there. The last item on the agenda, that will remind the board that after this, we have an executive session. After this, in the other room, we're talking about legislative priorities. So just to give an update, we've completed the legislative priorities based on board input. There's a copy of that you have there. We've also applied for 2 appropriations from the legislature. One appropriation is the workforce development expansion of advanced manufacturing technology. That area is one of the top areas of need within the Northeast community, according to Jack's USA. Okay, this would allow for two programs within Clay County. The ask is approximately $1 million in ask. We also put in an appropriation for the expansion of Elevation Academy, which is the program that we use to get students to progress forward academically and prepare to graduate from high school. If you remember, last year we did receive about $600, almost $700,000 in additional appropriation. I feel like like the Southern Group, our lobbying firm in Tallahassee, is doing a good job in doing that, and they actually like the appropriation process, because many times in education, like our legislative priorities are more generic in nature that every school district in America is probably looking for many of the things that are on this piece of paper, such as an increase in the BSA. That'll be there until, probably I'll pass away before that goes off the legislative priorities list for educators, right? So more generic, but the proof is in the pudding as to what you can actually deliver. They delivered last year for the expansion of our CNA program to Fleming Island High School, which would mirror the workforce development goals that the state has set forward in workforce development. So I feel good about all of that, and we're right in line. The legislative session starts earlier this year. Clay Day is, just remember, I believe it's on the sheet that you got, January 17th in the afternoon is the reception. Whatever day of the week that is, and the 18th is our day in the legislature in January. So it's much earlier this year than previous years. And that's the update on the legislative priorities. I'd be glad to handle any questions that anyone might have related to that. I know the superintendents across the state are very excited about the idea of deregulation of public education. We look forward to that happening. A lot of key legislation related to that. I believe that was sort of the trade-off legislatively for HB1 last year, and so we look forward on both the Senate and the House delivering on their promise to deregulate public education. There's one additional item that I forgot. It's actually exciting. We've reached tentative agreement with our contract negotiations for CESPA, our support union. There'll be an agenda item that'll be added, which will include the ratification package that we just come to agreement on the ratification package, which is why it's not there this morning, but will be shortly, and certainly before Thursday. Again, we look forward to the idea of, remember, it has to be approved by you as a board, but it also has to be approved by the members, so it's a tentative agreement. I believe it to be generous in nature. Always, anybody that's been around me hears me speak about making sure that we compensate our employees appropriately. Proud of the work that's been done, increases the salaries of all support employees. It also focuses on areas of particular need, whether it be transportation and others. I feel like it's great, it's a fair deal related to it. There'll be plenty of backup to read related to that. They'll be loaded shortly related to the contract. But I'm glad to answer your questions, and if not, that's it for my presentation this morning.
Any questions for Mr. Broski? Ms. Skipper, did you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Well then, at this time, we will move into school board attorney comments. Did you have anything, Mr. Blocker?
Yes, ma'am. Just at the end of the year where y'all as elected officials, you just make sure that everyone's done their ethics training. So I believe that is provided to y'all, and well, that is an annual requirement, and part of my duties is to make sure if y'all have any questions about that. But that's, again, the ethics training. I believe y'all, again, get the training on that, but you just want to make sure that it's completed by December 31st, and then it'll be reported into next year. So if there are any questions about that, please let me
Can we
know.
still send you the certificate if we've completed it?
It's
you
not
need that?
required that you do, but I always appreciate having it, and I do
Okay.
thank them.
I think
Because I
it's
know
good.
they give you a certificate when you're done.
For
It's
sure.
probably good practice to let the board secretary hold that for you, it's safekeeping. So if you've never done that, I give her my certificate also
Oh, yes.
to hold on to.
For sure. So it is a self-reporting requirement, but again, it is a good practice if there's ever a question, or if there's a, we won't be dealing with this, but there's a sunshine complaint, and again, that's one of the first questions is, show us the proof of the ethics training completion, so.
The test at the end was very difficult.
I'm sure I'll pass with flying colors, so.
At least they make it entertaining, sort of.
Somewhat.
Oh, did you already? Oh.
Anything further?
No, ma'am. No,
Okay.
thank you.
School board member comments. Ms. Skipper, did you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Poor thing.
I
Ms.
know.
Bola.
Ms. Skipper, I hope you're feeling better soon. Just a couple of things. The December is always a busy month, and I know, we're looking at the special events calendar that you gave us, Ms. Watt. Thank you for this, by the way. And it's frustrating because I'm seeing, for instance, the Oak Leaf High Winter Band Concert, yay, is the same night as our school board meeting, so we do have certain priorities, I guess, that we have to maintain, so. We'll be there. So we're going to the band concert, is that what we decided?
We're gonna have the school board meeting after that.
After the band concert, there you go. But that is obviously something that we'd always like to do. It was a great Thanksgiving, and I know that teachers are going into this next month, looking at 3 weeks of the next 3 weeks of being incredibly busy, but also staying on top of everything. So thank them for what they do, and always, we are there for you in any way, shape, or form we can be. So I think that's pretty much it. I am going to FSBA tomorrow, the Florida School Board Association meeting, actually this afternoon, which is in Tampa, and just a great opportunity for professional interaction with other school board members across the state. It gives, just for comment, I know a lot of people say, well, why do you have to do that? And it really provides the opportunity for discussion. so many of the same things that we're going through are happening in other counties. And what a great opportunity to be able to discuss it without feeling that we have to be in the sunshine. I don't believe any of the other school board members from Clay are attending, so it's an opportunity to bring back ideas. And truly, ideas about everything, whether it be student hearings or board workshops or whatever. It's something that is truly helpful for us in the long run. So that is it.
Ms.
We'll see you
Clark?
next week.
I'll keep mine short and quiet today.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. I just want to put it on y'all's radar. Did you have something else, Ms. Gold? Okay. Well, the Fleming Island Dreadnoughts 11U Pop Warner football team
Yes.
won regional championship
Oh,
Saturday.
awesome.
And so they are headed to the national championship, and my son is on that team.
Yeah.
So we have a game Saturday and a game Tuesday, and if they win both of those games, then we play in the national championship on Friday. So
Where's the national championship?
it's in Orlando,
Whoa.
and it may be in the morning. So if that's the case, I may miss the Thursday school board meeting in order to be down there with them for that. So I just wanted to put that on your radar as it may be a possibility. I'll know for sure after Tuesday.
I never want you to miss a meeting. However, this would be a
means they're winning.
great opportunity.
Phenomenal opportunity. And it seems like a light agenda, Ms. Ball. I think you can
Yeah,
handle
I
it.
think we can handle it.
All right. Well, with that, this meeting is
That's
adjourned.
awesome. Do we give you our high school requests?
Oh,
That's
yes,
what
I have
was
not
going
done
to
that.
ask.
Yes.
I mean, it didn't need to be part of the agenda.
Let me write that down.
And Ms. Clark, I notice high school is in your area, but I would prefer Orange Park this year. This is my last fifth grade class graduate.
Oh.
And because we moved up to Orange Park, I know that there will be a number of